Hey guys, just doing a quick little video here for you about using your microphone. A lot of people have invested in a microphone, especially if you're doing podcasting and things like that. But there are a few things that you need to keep in mind whilst using your microphone. There is a technique that will make the best sound when using your microphone. So things you really need to think about: the room you're recording in, distance between you and the microphone, as well as the placement and the types of sounds that can be picked up on the microphone as well. So let's cover off the placement of the microphone first. So this is really important to get the nice, crisp, clean sound that you want. You want to be at least a hand space away, if not a little bit closer. You don't want to be all the way back here because a microphone is going to have a really hard time picking up your voice. So it's best to be as close as possible. So you can see here, I'm like hand width apart, even a little bit closer. And that will really help you get that nice, crisp sound that you really want to get. Particularly when you're podcasting, you want people to make it sound like you're chatting right next to them. The next tip is about placement. So one thing that I often hear people doing when recording their podcasts or videos or things like that when using a microphone, they're not thinking about the way sound comes out of your mouth. So when you think about sounds such as P's and T's and things like that, those kinds of words, it's called a plosive. That's the word that we use. And it's quite a harsh sound. So you think about when you say puh, there's a lot of air that comes out of your mouth. So one of the tricks that you need to learn to use is the placement of your microphone, and the technique you're using when talking is to not push that air right through into the microphone. So if you hear this now, when I say peas or poop, you can hear that sound come through on the microphone. We don't want that. We don't want that explosive sound. We don't want that plosive to pop. It's called pop. So you'll see here I've got a pop filter, but a lot of the times it still doesn't work 100% of the time. It's just something to keep in mind to soften your P's or your T's or those sorts of things that have those plosive sounds in them to really stop that from happening. Next is the old, when you're interviewing someone, it's always great to have a cup of tea or coffee. Now, that is not great. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but generally you want to have water with you. If you do drink coffee or tea during or before you record, you can get a lot of those like noises. So right here, right now, I've got a piece of chocolate. So I'm just going to have a little bite. And you'll hear now that I've got all of that chocolatey awfulness rolling around inside my mouth. And that is not what we want when we're recording. We want it to be nice, clear, and crisp. So water is your best friend when you're recording. Not coffee, sadly, and not a milky tea. You could probably get away with a herbal tea. And lastly, the thing that a lot of people forget is sounds around your microphone. You could be interviewing someone and, like me, you've got your microphone set up right here on the desk. And if you start picking things up, moving your mouse, dragging things around, the microphone is going to pick that up. It's really important to think about these things when you're recording. Take away distractions. Don't have pens that you can click or things that you might just offhand pick up without even realizing you're doing it, but it can cause those extra sounds to come around. Another thing to be aware of is noisy clothing. So there's particular fabrics and things like that, or if you've got a lot of bracelets or jewelry that can rattle around, I suggest if you're planning on recording something to take all of that off. Not suggesting that you sit there with no clothes on, but make sure that you're wearing clothes and items that don't make any noise and interfere with the recording itself. So I hope those tips are really helpful. It can be daunting and overwhelming when it comes to using a microphone. So there's just a few quick little tips that will hopefully make the process a little bit easier for you. As always, you can reach out if you want to know any more information. I'm more than happy to chat with you about it. Happy recording.